Well, who am I kidding? This is not going to be a big budget movie, and it's not going to be about how humanity won the technological race to stay one step ahead of the Thargoids. We eventually beat them back, destroying the last Titan mothership as it loomed threateningly over Earth, 7 years, almost to the day, after the Oracle starport was attacked. That's a story that needs to be told, but not yet. This is just a tiny fragment of that story. Humanity was outclassed and outgunned by the alien civilization we know as the Thargoids. But a year earlier, on October the 27th, 3302, we'd been thrown a lifeline, when Commander X-Death stumbled across what appeared to be the ruins of an ancient city on an airless moon in the Sinuefi XR-H D11-102 system. Built by what we had to assume was a long-dead alien race, the ruins held the promise of technology far in advance of our own. Perhaps we could learn from this ancient civilization. Perhaps we could develop new weapons and insights into the behaviour of the Thargoids. That ancient race was the Guardians. I think most commanders associate that name with Ram Tah, the engineer widely credited with piecing together our knowledge of Guardian civilization. But he wasn't the only scientist racing to discover everything about the Guardians. Why does no one remember Professor Melville and the Melville Expedition of January 3303?
Guardian technology holds the key to defeating the Thargoids, but our progress in negating that technology and deciphering it is slow, way too slow. I'm not just going to sit here while that jumped-up mechanic Ram Tah spoon-feeds us information.
That's what Professor Melville said. He wanted to know more about the Guardians, maybe even figure out where they came from. So off we went, with little to go on beyond the Professor's belief there were more ruins out there. He claims to have information that will help us find more sites, but he's keeping it close to his chest. Only he and the pilot know where we're going. It's like he's afraid someone will take credit for his discovery. We've been scanning lifeless planetoids for days, eyeballing the ground for locations. He keeps reciting the same little speech.
Xenoarchaeology has moved on. The days of exploring the outer reaches, only occasionally finding something of value, are behind us. I have found the key.
But I'm not an archaeologist. Professor Melville is just a means to an end. I signed up for the money.
This is very revealing. The data appears to explain why the Thargoids seeded several thousand years after they seeded planets in Guardian space with barnacles. The Thargoids returned. The Thargoids were determined to continue hostilities. These war machines became highly sophisticated in a relatively short amount of time, and the log also mentions that the development of the Guardians' war machines created a schism in their society, which eventually the Guardians' experiments bore fruit, resulting in the first fully sentient machines developed that connected the Guardians with both the constructs and the monolith network in a symbiotic circle. It is truly remarkable.
We received an update today. Apparently, Ram Tah has found some new signs. Melville scoffed when he heard the news.
Scraps from an amateur. We'll find the real secrets, trust me.
Trust. That's an interesting thing. Why should we trust someone that doesn't trust us? Well, maybe he has reason not to. I took a look at his records while I was talking to the pilot. I don't like being kept in the dark. Melville thinks there could be hundreds of sites out there. His hypothesis is that the Guardians occupied an area of space similar in size to that currently inhabited by humans, but that for some reason they were forced to migrate. He believes he can find that region of space and the Guardian's point of origin. The Guardians could well have had a huge civilization with hundreds of sites, maybe thousands, in this part of space. The similarities across different sites are comparable to the way we reuse certain structures. After all, how many Coriolis stations are there in the galaxy?
This data describes the motives behind the Second Guardian Civil War. These engines of war took various forms, from autonomous drones to vast, lumbering dreadnoughts. As their situation worsened, they became increasingly obsessed with these practices. By this time, the constructs had complete control of the Guardians' munitions and automated war machines. Their attack, when it came, was swift and merciless. They were crude and unpredictable at first, sometimes resulting in the death of the wielder. Of course, I already knew they had developed extremely effective shields, capable of protecting entire cities and even withstanding orbital bombardment. But it is remarkable to consider that this technology was developed millions of years ago.
Melville thinks the Sinuefi XR-HD11-102 system represents some kind of endpoint or last colony. Beyond that, the sites appear in clusters, with the number of sites in each cluster getting increasingly larger. We discovered a cluster of sites only a few days ago before finding a location with an entirely unique layout. So far, we found 3 sites in each of the following systems: Sinuefi LY-I B42-2, Sinuefi NL-N C23-4, and Sinuefi TP-F B44-0. There are basically 3 different types of site, most of which have a different codex layout. Melville thinks that each type of site fulfilled a different function. He also thinks the Guardians were the dominant species in this region of space. But he's not content with this discovery. He wants to keep going. Are we ever going to turn back?
This data provides further insights into the Guardian ship technology. Over time, the Guardian starships became much more sophisticated. Defense systems found at Guardian sites. You may have already encountered them. Remarkable! This log actually contains the blueprints for the Guardian's data terminals. This explains the faint glow given off by many Guardian materials and structures. This is an extraordinary discovery. Guardian relics. These blue crystals are part power source, part computer, part key. These weapons were apparently powered by the crystals we have termed Guardian relics. Oh, it's extremely exciting.
This isn't a research vessel anymore. It's a prison. All means of communicating with the rest of the galaxy have been disabled. Melville's taken control of the ship. His obsession has duped us all. I'm transmitting these records in the hope that someone finds them and comes to our rescue. But chances of that are slim.
This log details the Guardian's faster-than-light technology. It seems their drives produced a far greater jump range than anything humanity has so far developed. This log indicates that the Guardian's written language often incorporated pairs of characters. The efficiency of this technology far exceeded anything the human race has yet developed. We already know that it was highly sophisticated. Encouragingly, this find is extremely important. The log suggests these undiscovered sites might contain blueprints not only for Guardian engines, but for Guardian starships. It makes my skin prickle just to think of it. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to find it.
We're getting out of here. The ship was designed to leave the lab ship to fly solo, carrying out experiments, while the drive ship ferried supplies to and from occupied space. We're going to trap the professor in the lab ship, blow the umbilical, and return home in the drive ship. The crazy old fool will have enough supplies to last him years. It's more than he deserves, trying to trap us all out here.
This fascinating log relates to variations in the Guardian's gestural language. The Guardians use these implants to connect cerebrally with their AI creations. How extraordinary. This log suggests there are many more Guardian sites out there waiting to be uncovered. And I mean hundreds, perhaps even thousands.
There's no escape now. Somehow, he found out what we were planning. He welded the airlock to the drive ship shut. When we confronted him, he went crazy. He called us mutineers, cowards. He shot our junior research assistant Marcus. To make an example for the rest of us. The kid hadn't done anything wrong. He just wanted to get home. The only way off this ship is
Professor Melvin and engineer Ram Tah then had very different ways of working. It was Melville's secrecy that sealed his fate, and the fate of his crew. Ram Tah shared everything he discovered about the Guardians in more than 100 logs. Almost everything we know about the Guardians comes from Ram Tah and the people who worked for him, searching for ruins, structures and beacons, and working out how to unlock the secrets of the Guardians' immense data stores. Without this information, we wouldn't have many of the key weapons we need to defeat the Thargoids, and we wouldn't have the frameshift drive booster. As for Melville, his ship, the Cete, remains as an airless sarcophagus for the Professor and his crew. You can visit it in the Call 173 sector LJ-F C12-0 system, but hardly anyone goes there. His expedition is, at best, a footnote in history.
Warning. Atmospheric process is offline. You have 5 hours to evacuate the ship before oxygen levels become toxic. Warning. Oxygen depleted.